Hello and welcome to the Craft Beer Corner. For today's beer review, we're jumping into a beer from 903 Brewers. Got from Tavour. It's been quite a while. We've done a lot of their beers, but it feels like it's been months since I've had one from 903. So today's beer is called Brunch Slushie, and it is a Berliner Weisse style ale. 6.2% ABV on this one, and it's one of those everything but the kitchen sink. It's been aged on banana, pineapple, coconut, chocolate, coffee, and then has added milk sugar. So quite a laundry list of additives here. 903 Brewers based in Sherman, Texas. So label art on here, it kind of looks like a pina colada, but modified. They're showing the chocolate, the coffee sitting on the side, banana as well. But yeah, I'm expecting this to be quite nice. I've had many kind of pina colada style flavored spin-off beers. They work well in sours. This is obviously not a traditional pina colada, but I love the combination of flavors and then everything in this actually. I'm a huge fan. So getting this in a nice Berliner Weisse style ale sounds awesome to me. Label art, yeah. I think it does tell me the whole story here. I don't see anything else I've mentioned. They're quite clear on the labeling with exactly what they put in here. And indeed, if you've never had a slushy beer before, they do tell you how to deal with it. Obviously, some people don't know, and they won't give it a mild, gentle shake to let it settle. So we're going to open this very slowly and hope this doesn't spray all over my table here. Gently. Okay, I think we're safe. I gave it a couple minutes after just lightly rocking it back and forth. All right, so we're going to get this poured right in the old glass. That is pouring like a typical slushy, very thick. They are indeed aptly named. They are occluded, obviously, because they are packed with additives. That is by design. I probably could have been a bit more aggressive with that to let it form a better head, but frankly, it did okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. Huge aromas already coming off of that beer. So yeah, this is, it's very thick and very murky. It's completely occluded. You cannot see through this beer. It is not clear, but it does have the hue of, maybe, it's a little darker than a typical Berliner Weisse would be, but it kind of looks roughly the same shade of like a true bright, like IPA color. It's just murky. So I don't know how well the camera's picking that up, but that's what it looks like to me. Head actually did form okay, despite whatever reason my brain wasn't there and I was going extremely slowly. I didn't give it the best chance, but it seemed to form okay. So let's get right up over this for a sniff. Oh, wow. Huge aromas off of this beer. Okay, you can pick up everything. The banana is very clear. The pineapple is crystal clear. The chocolate, the coconut, it's really all jumping out at me. The coffee even, it's a little underneath, so I don't think it's going to drive quite as strong as the other kind of fruit additives here, but it smells very fruity and it smells fantastic. The other thing I can say is there's only a slight suggestion of a slight tartness on the aroma. It doesn't smell like a sour beer. Berliner Weisses, they kind of run the gamut. They normally, you can pick a little up, but they're not astringently sour on the nose, and this is no exception. And in this big fruit-forward slushy version, I kind of expected it. So, it smells great. Let's just jump right in, see what this one's about. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I can get down with that 903. Absolutely. That is absolutely delicious. You can taste every bit of the additives in this beer. And I gotta say, the lactose in this doesn't make it pungently sweet. It's not overly sweet. It's got enough sweetness to where it kind of matches like the sweetness you would expect in a typical pina colada. So it's there. You can taste all of the ingredients and they taste like they should. And it's got a slight sweetness to it, but it's not over the top. It's not beer candy, which is slightly off-putting to me anyway. I would like the same thing in a normal pina colada. Yes, have enough, sweetness in there to let the fruit stand out, but I still want to taste the booze, if you know what I mean. That's kind of the same thing here. You get this big, you know, modified pina colada flavor that tastes exactly as you'd expect. All of these additives, you can pick them out as clear as day. That being said, the coffee, as I detected on the aroma, it's true in the flavor profile as well. It's there, you can taste it, but it's kind of in the background to the others. It's kind of like this extra cherry on top to tie it all together. And yeah, there's a little bit of a tartness, a little bit of a sweetness. It is a Berliner Weisse style after all, but really it's much more driving. It's much more leading with just this big fruit intensity. This is a very well done slushie, a great combination of ingredients, and they really did a great job here. There's nothing to not like about this. If you like pina coladas, and you know I do, you're definitely gonna wanna jump into this beer. This is just awesome. True to slushy style, while it may only be a 6.2% ABV, it's extremely thick. It's a slushy beer, guys. The mouthfeel is extremely thick, extremely viscous. You can feel it. There is a boatload of resistance. That's part of the design of the style. And yeah, the weight is heavier than your typical 6.2% ABV beer as well. It's a slushy. They're bigger, they're weightier, they're thicker. They have presence on the palate. Really, really nice. In terms of the balance, yeah, I can pick everything out individually. I can still get the underlying tartness, slight sourness from the Berliner Weisse, so that pops in as well. Everything has its own voice. It's just an extremely well done beer here. There's nothing to not like about this. I'm sitting here trying to think if there's anything I could critique. Not really. It's just a great beer drinking experience. I've been looking forward to this one. So let's jump back in for a second sip. We're going to talk about this finish, and I'll see if there's anything else I didn't pick out in the first sip, but I love it. This is truly delicious. Thick, weighty. You swallow, you immediately get pineapple, coconut first. It leads with classic pina colada. Banana comes in behind that. Chocolate comes in behind that. Coffee behind that. The coffee really starts to bind kind of with the chocolate, and the banana kind of splits the difference between binding with the pineapple, coconut, and then the chocolate and the coffee. There's that just a little bit of tartness, a little bit of sour. It's got the right amount of sweetness. This is just really well done. This is, albeit they added some additional ingredients. This is kind of a true beer form version of what it's like drinking a pina colada. It's just great. Even the fact that they did this in a slushy form because it's naturally thick, it feels right. You know, if you blindfolded me and I didn't know what this was, maybe it's a pina colada that got a little warm, but it's still great. It's just fantastic. This is well done. In terms of the finish, it's a Berliner Weisse. It's not a style one would typically associate with a particularly long finish. And indeed, this one's not over the top, but comparative for the typical in this style, it is longer than normal. And really what it is on this one, it's intensity of ingredients. It's also got a little bit higher ABV than you would find in a normal Berliner Weisse, but yeah, it's longer than average. And it owes entirely to the intensity and pungency of the additives. And really where it leaves me on the end, it's all wet and round to the end. And it's got a very even normal bell curve shape to it. It's not a weird shape at all. And it just kind of tapers off until it's gone. But what you're left with lingering on the back at the very end is classic pina colada. It's pineapple and it's coconut. Those are the last vestiges of flavor to leave the palate on the relatively lengthy finish for the style. I gotta say, I absolutely love it. I've had plenty of slushy beers in the last few years here. This is easily one of the best ones I've had to date. I'm gonna take my time, sip on this, come up with my scores. When we come back, we'll get this beer ranked from top to bottom. All right, now that we've gotten to enjoy this beer, we're gonna get it ranked. This was 903 Brewers Brunch Slushie, a pina colada flavored Berliner Weisse, clocking in at 6.2% ABV. This one brewed with banana, pineapple, coconut, chocolate, coffee, and lactose. 903 Brewers is based in Sherman, Texas. So absolutely love pina coladas, pina colada beers. anytime I see one, it's one of those beers, if I see it, I'm grabbing it. Much like key lime pie, there's a few I always grab if I see it come across my path. And I'm really glad I got this one. This was just an exceptionally well done beer. This was a slushy style Berliner Weisse, and it just worked extremely well in this beer. So almost swept it. 2 categories that didn't get a perfect score. We're just going to jump straight to those. The first of those is the finish. Now, this really shouldn't be that surprising. It's a Berliner Weisse style beer, and that's not a beer style that's known for particularly long finishes. It's a sour. Indeed, really the driving impetus on this beer came entirely from the pungency of the added ingredients that made it this kind of pina colada inspired slushy Berliner Weisse style ale. It didn't come from the sour and the tart. There was a bit of that, but it wasn't intense on this beer. It really, what drove this out longer than average was the overall intensity of the additives, and it was very, very nice, and it finished with its kind of namesake, that distinct pineapple coconut. That's where it left you before it finally was gone. It was fantastic. The finish gets a 7 out of 10. The second category, it did not get a perfect score, is our next category of head and retention. And yeah, I mean, this did a really nice job. It formed a nice head, which let the aromas really come up, and it settled down a fair bit, but there was still quite a bit thicker head than I really would typically want to see on a sour. And I didn't want to dock too many points here because I did still think it was above average, especially for the purpose of the head. But I think what happened in this case is because it's a slushy style, it's naturally thicker. So the carbonation is taking its time moving up through this much thicker beer, and it was constantly slowly rebuilding the head. It kind of had the opposite effect like you would see on a lot of porters, where the activity's so aggressive it just collapses the head. But minor nitpick, it wasn't a massively thick head of foam, and it was indeed still above average, so I give the head and retention a 7 out of 10, and it did get, of course, a perfect 10 out of 10 in the remaining 8 categories. That's aroma, taste, body, mouthfeel, appearance, balance, feeling and intangible, and example of style. So the total score on 9 to 3 Brewers Brunch Slushie is a 94 out of 100. Guys, well above average beer. If you're into these big slushy style beers, just generally like sours or just like pina colada and pina colada flavored things, this one was awesome. And yeah, it was very much that classic pina colada inspired beer recipe, but their additives really made this one quite special. Aside from just a well done slushy, that banana, chocolate, and coffee was a very unique twist and an excellent combination of ingredients that paired just perfectly well in this beer. I absolutely loved it. Folks, that's today's review. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you tuning in today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to stay in the loop when our videos go live, just turn on your notifications, hit the bell icon. It is right next to the subscribe button. Until next time, keep it beer, keep it craft. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.